want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
We are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
Your home for healthy masculinity. We're just real men having real conversations for you.
And we back, baby. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen.
We back. Do we ever leave?
Yeah, we never leave. We always here.
You know what I just did?
Up in the corner.
Yeah, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I am Kirk M. Samuel.
And I am Jason B. Kendrick.
And we are the Mad Men of Masculinity.
That's right. We're just real men having real conversations.
For who?
For you.
For you? For me or for them?
For them.
For them?
For them.
For them.
We talk about this all the time anyway. It's not about us.
Trigger alert.
Trigger alert.
Trigger alert.
So, ladies and gentlemen, especially you ladies, we thought about it and we didn't want to leave you out because we love you. We know you're most of our audience and most of our fan base. And however,
yeah, you know, a lot of times you speak, we always say sometimes you speak to men, sometimes you speak for men. And last few topics here have been two men, you know, concerning the idea, the concept, the construct, the experience of divorce. And now we feel like maybe it's time to pivot. Maybe it's time to switch, rotate a little bit, and speak for men.
Yes. So tonight we're going to speak directly to you ladies, the things you need to know, and some of the things that we have dealt with in person when we talk to a lot of our lady friends who are single mothers who have dealt with divorce and may not be so happy about the outcome on the other side. So this episode is for you. Now, on that hand and on that note, we normally will accept your comments and put you on the screen and make you famous. Tonight, we're going to have you just listen and be a part of the show and take it in. And if you are triggered, if something does hit you, take it in and think about it. Listen to it. Like, let that process for a minute.
You ain't gonna let nobody say nothing?
I mean, if they want to say something, I may not listen in though, because I mean, we're trying to be.
You just gonna mute all that. You just gonna mute everything. You ain't even listen. You just gonna plug your ears. You ain't even listen to the comment. I only want to hear it. I want to hear it.
That's what we get. Just being honest.
So the idea is, and you know, a lot of anyway, our tree conversations start on a golf course. So this one was one of those. What do women need to hear? Not what they often hear, not what they want to hear, but what do women need to hear from men concerning the idea of divorce?
Yeah, especially not what your girlfriends tell you, not what media tells you, definitely not what social media tells you and all that stuff, because, you know, unfortunately, feminism has been bought and sold by corporate America, and they're just trying to get dollars out of your pocket. Yeah. And unfortunately, divorce is a business. Yeah. And there are a lot of ladies who I think are being sold an unfair bill of goods about be a boss babe, be a single mom, be all these things, and, you know, take half of his stuff and you can do it on your own, girl. And now there's a lot of ladies who bought into that and are on their own, doing their own thing, and it ain't quite what they was cracked up to be or what they thought they're going to get into, and now they're having a hard time finding a new guy.
You know, it's the algorithm of society. It's one of those things where, you know, the messages that we hear a lot are curated for our own for our confirmation bias, and so all the things that we want to hear, our culture finds a way to feed us that. And social media is a prime example of that. When you know, the more you like stuff and the more you click on stuff, the more in the background all the AI kicks in and all the formulas and algorithms and all that, and it just continues to show you more and more of that. And then all of a sudden you think that everybody thinks the way you think. And the whole world thinks the way you think. And then when you hear something contrary,
oh my goodness,
you clutch the pearls. Oh, I'm clutching the pearls. Oh my, Mildred, did you hear that? Oh no, Beatrice, I can't believe you said that.
How dare you?
Everybody thinks the way I do. No, it's not the case. And politics is a form of that. You know, the gender differences and gender messaging is a way of that. You know, modern feminism is an avenue for that, et cetera, man. The male female dynamic, the dating dynamic. You know, when you go to these dating websites, you click on this person, you swipe and all this other kind of stuff. In the background, is just trying to match you with something that you like already. And so, you know, I would say one of the realities is, you know, guess what? Everything you hear ain't what you need to hear, but you about to hear something now.
Yeah, I mean, to that point, even when we just look at how the brain works, And especially nowadays with all the curated social media and everybody picking their favorite news channel or whatever network they want to listen to because it parrots back how they think already. Your reticular activating system, whatever you think or whatever you expect, it focuses on those things. So if you're expecting, men to be a certain way, they're all jerks or they're all pigs or dogs or whatever. Well, guess what? Your brain goes, all right, well, if that's what you expect, that's what you're going to get. If you expect it to be unfair in the workplace or whatever the narrative is in your mind today, that expectation sends your brain on seek and destroy mode and basically is going to find that for you. And it's the blue car analogy. You never see the blue car like yours until you get one, and then they're freaking everywhere. So it's the same sort of thing, and that's why I wanted to have this episode. Like, these are things you're going to need to hear. You're going to want to hear. You may not like them up first, but after you hear them, you'll be like, okay, I get that. But these are things you need to hear, especially when it comes to divorce for you ladies, because it's a different world once you become a divorced single mother out in the world, and it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, this is not one of those where we have a top whatever list or we have a whatever. We probably should have because we can probably
but we
can probably just go on and on and on. I mean, this could definitely be a multi one right here. But I mean, just in terms of, I think right out of the gate, we are here telling you we're sharing with you thoughts from a man's perspective that you probably don't hear. You probably don't sit around, with a bunch of guys that are having real conversations for you, and or B, you probably don't hear these things on your timeline. You probably don't hear these things from your girlfriends, from your single friends. The single women want to help you stay single. And so, a lot of times you're not going to get the other side of the coin. Or if you do hear a message that is male, I want to say male focused, but from a male narrative, your first response is, well, it goes both ways. Well, we need that too. And what about me? And what about, and you have a hard time just even sitting and listening and receiving. We're too busy trying to be heard and trying to get everybody else to listen. That it's so hard for us to just sit back and receive and listen and take it for what it is.
Yeah. And one of the things that, it's not nice, although it is true, there's a natural solipsistic nature that a lot of ladies deal with, which basically means your experience, you think that is how the world is because you've had that experience. You think this is how the world is. And we get that feedback a lot when we talk about things and somebody goes, well, that's not my experience. So that's not how it is. It's like, well, then we're not talking to you.
Right.
But because you have that knee jerk reaction that, well, that's not my experience. So that's not true. Well, that's part of the reason we're having this episode, because your experience is not reality. Your experience is your reality, and the rest of the world has their own experience.
And everybody wants to see themselves as the exception to the rule. Well, I'm not like that. No, that doesn't mean. We can't have these conversations and talk all the exceptions. Yeah. So these conversations, more often than not, are talking at least 51 out of 100. At least 51 out of 100 examples. And if it ain't you, it's 49 of your friends kind of thing. And this is the stuff that we don't necessarily talk about. But yeah, they say, if you throw a rock into a pile of dogs, the one that yelps is the one that got hit by it. So if it, keep the meat, spell the bones. If it ain't you, then assume it's probably several of your friends.
Yeah. And to that point, I think we'll go ahead and start with point number one that I wanted to make, because what I see a lot of times nowadays is this fixer-upper mentality. So a lot of ladies are like, well, he has so much potential. I can fix him. I can make him the man that I think he should be. And then when that doesn't work out, it's his fault somehow. You chose him to fix him up instead of accepting him as man that he is. And then when he didn't turn out the way you thought he should be, or he didn't take your advice and follow your program and plan and whatever 12 steps you decided that he needed to do without even asking him, and then you're butthurt and you leave the relationship because it didn't go the way you wanted to, stop it. If this is a man, if you don't like him the way he is now and you don't think you can work with him from now until whatever, don't go there.
The reality is you probably have a bad picker. You probably way more than 51 out of 100 have a bad picker. Because I've heard so many times from so many, and these are conversations that I legitimately sit around having. I just had a 2-hour conversation at lunchtime a couple of days ago with somebody, a single female that is a therapist in the area. And so not only is it her experience, but she works with people. And, it's one of those things where I keep running into the same guy over and over again. And so again, back to the confirmation bias, back to the algorithm, that algorithm happens to be your bad picker. If you keep ending up with the same type of guy over and over again, it's not all guys, it's you. The problem ain't men, the problem is you, and the problem is your picker. And your experience over and over again that keeps leading you to dead end streets. Maybe, just maybe, if you fix the end, your outcome will be different.
Yeah, and that's why we're having this episode, because you're not going to hear this from your girlfriends. You're not going to hear this from social media. They're all going to say, "You go, girl, and you can do whatever," but you're not looking at who is the lady in the mirror and who's making these decisions, and are there repercussions to my decisions? Oh, yes, there are. And guess what? You are responsible for those repercussions and those decisions, but that's not what you're hearing out in the world. They're like, well, you can just go do whatever you want and make whatever bad decisions you want, and everything's going to be all right, and they're all going to cheer for you and be like, you go, girl. Well, guess what? That's not how reality works. That's not how life works. And that's why we're going to talk to you and, trigger you a bit about your bad picker.
Yeah.
When you choose these guys and you think, well, he's almost good enough, or he's almost this, and then you get butthurt and disappointed later on down the road when he doesn't follow your script and go down the plan that you laid out for him, the plan that you made without even asking him about. Number one, usually 51 out of 100 times you decide for him and then get mad when it doesn't work out that way. I mean, what kind of logic is that? That doesn't really work. If you're in a partnership, you should be having these meetings and conversations together about where you're going, what you want to accomplish, and how we can do that together. But if you're deciding for both of you and not telling him, then you're already using bad logic and a basically going back to your bad picker mentality. Like, well, I can just do what I want and it will work out. That's not how life works. You need to think about these things in a logical, linear way. Sometimes about just like business. The relationship is a business in some aspects and fashion. Are you having your business meetings? Are you having your board meetings and deciding where this train is going?
There are a ton of good men. There are a ton of good single men. And if you are looking for a good single man and you just can't seem to find one, I got news for you. The problem is probably not there are no good single men out there for you. The problem is probably where you're looking and what you're looking for.
Or maybe they're running away from you. You just don't know.
maybe you're repelling or repulsing, whatever the word is, that man that you're looking for, because you are the opposite of what that typical man is looking for that you think you want, or you're looking for the wrong type of guy. Meaning, if you're a woman with a masculine kind of energy, but you want a masculine man, the two don't work. So either you got to accept the fact and decide or realize that maybe I'd be best suited with a man that is polar to that kind of energy, or maybe I need to change the way I present, the way I live, or whatever. The whole idea of change is important. And speaking of change,
I heard there was some change coming around the corner. Time for a break, everybody.
We'll be right back. Men of Masculinity, 12:20 a.m. in the Mile High City and on the interwebs everywhere.
And thank you all on Facebook and YouTube for tuning in. We're having our little behind-the-scenes break.
Oh yeah, let me get my drink. Let me water my palate. Speaking of which, Body Armor, holla at us. Holla at your boys, Body Armor.
We're looking for some mutually beneficial sponsorship relationships.
Oh man, that's the nectar of manhood, the nectar of masculinity.
You got to come up with a new slogan, man.
That ain't sound good.
Sound good.
The nectar of has coconut water, electrolytes, antioxidants, B vitamins.
Healthy. The man nectar. I don't. They just no.
The man nectar don't work.
Maybe it's just me. I don't know.
I don't have a degree in marketing. Man nectar works for me.
Man nectar. Lord have mercy.
We're back.
And we're back.
We are
Men of Masculinity on KLDC, 12:20 a.m. in the Mile High City, and Knuckleheads in the building.
Who's that? Oh, I mean, I already know who that is. I already know who that is. Shout out Corner Cafe Radio. Shout out JB Daniel with his Bama Knucklehead Cowboy gear on here. Them dudes are straight trash, garbage. Dallas Cowboys, man.
How did Washington do this, man?
Man, we talking about that. We talking about the Cowboys right now. We talking about the punks and scrubs and Cowboys. Man, how about them scrubs, man? I mean, Cowboy. He up there walking. Anyhow, shout out Corner Cafe. Rachel Haynes.
You got to take that out of here. He's He's getting too distracted.
I know,
Okay,
man. Get him out of here, man. Where's security?
Security.
Shout out, Tony Cafe. Shout out to producer Nick Nicole. We
Crawford Broadcasting, we love you.
We kindly ask her to give us some grace here and talk to us.
Yeah, she's gonna let us. She's gonna let us
give us some
talk
choice
without
later on.
interruptions, and then give us notes and feedback later.
Hey, I got a social experiment here. And y'all have probably done it. Speaking to ladies, you've probably done this, but I'm gonna give you a social experiment to the confirmation bias, to the algorithm that exists in your life. If you're listening to this right now and you are a female, take a selfie of yourself. That's why they call them selfies. Take a selfie and post it on your social media timeline and give it 1 hour. And then find out every single comment is going to say, girl, you're fabulous. Girl, you're beautiful. Girl, you're wonderful. Oh, look at you. And some of them will come from your female friends. And if you got a bunch of filters and if you look all whatever, then you'll have some simps, some guys that'll come in there trying to hook up with you and all that kind of stuff. But complete confirmation bias of all you got to do is post a selfie. And I'm telling you, you've done it already. Whenever you want some affirmation, you do it. You take a picture and you post it of yourself in the car or wherever you are, just smiling with that one angle. Or you take 50 pictures and you pick the best one and you post that. I know how y'all roll. I know what you do. But that's your confirmation bias right there. You give it an hour and see how many times somebody tells you how fantastic and fabulous you are, which basically tells you subconsciously you have nothing to work on and everything is all great.
Yeah, and to that point, I mean, getting back to even the whole topic of this discussion, what you need to hear is not what social media is telling you, not what your girlfriends are telling you. Not all this, you go girl, and then you don't have to work on anything, and you're perfect. We all have things to work on, men, women, and everybody in general, whatever your pronouns are. We all have things to work on. We all should be looking to improve ourselves. And when all you're getting is confirmation bias, then you're not looking at yourself as like, well, maybe I should. So what that leads down the road to is we get all this entitlement bias, where there are a lot of, if you're looking at sexual market value, a lot of average ladies who think there are 10s and who say there are 10s out in the marketplace and who think that they should get a man who is a 1%er, who makes 6 figures, 6 feet tall, and all the, a baller and all these different things. But would that guy want you? Can we ask that question? Can we even throw it out there without getting canceled nowadays? Would that guy want you?
You know what, man? I'm sitting back, and I'm just kind of listening to us, and I'm thinking, man, somebody tuning in. Wow, you guys are misogynists. You guys hate women, and you guys, what about the men? Not realizing that we just spent 2-3 at least of these last several shows talking to men, telling men to get your poop in the group, telling men, hey, blah blah blah. But at a certain point, guys get tired of that because it's like, okay, we're told we need to go work on this. We need to go lose weight. We need to go make money. We need to go get taller. We need to get a better car. These are things that we're told. And I know women are subconsciously told in our culture that you're not enough. And you need to go get this injection and that injection. And you need to go get this treatment and that treatment. And I know, I know the whole cosmetic industry. And I get all that. In the context of this show, we're trying to bring some balance to the whole thing. Because at some point we can even lose our credibility with guys and even amongst ourselves if we don't take a step back and say, okay, all right, okay, guys, we got to work, we got to get ours. We got to be sharp with the tip of the spear. And at the same time, ladies, it ain't just the guys. It ain't just the guys that need to step it up. It ain't just the guys that need to get their poop in a group. It's not just that.
Do you think you padded that one enough now? Is there enough fluffing?
I think so.
That one? Okay. So now that we got enough,
somebody's still going to come back saying,
"Oh,
you guys
sure.
are misogynists."
Absolutely fine. There's whatever you want to call us.
Come for it.
This is for the ladies who realize that what they've been told isn't the truth, and they're ready for some harsh truths and some reality checks. Just like one of the number one reality checks that you ladies need to understand is, you come with inherent value. Women and children come with inherent value. Men have to earn that value. And nowadays, all women who come with inherent value now are entitled to that because they're told all their lives that you are valuable. You all want the same 1 to 2% of men. And those guys, the top 10 percenters, we'll just go with 10 percenters. The top 10 percenters are so flush with women in their DMs and all these women chasing after them because they think that's what they deserve or what they should get. They have this entitled mentality, not asking themselves if that guy really wants them. That guy might smash. He might take you to the bedroom. He's not looking at you as a real partner. And that's why we are here giving you hard truths about things you need to look in the mirror about. What is your natural sexual marketplace value in the world today? Be honest with yourself about that. Don't listen to your girlfriends or social media. Try to find somebody that's within that 1 or 2 degrees of that, social marketplace value, and stay close to your lane. You'll be much happier in your lane, in your social and economic demographic, within your, village and tribe, as it were. But when you try to jump out of that and shoot for the stars like that, your Icarus, you're going to burn and fall to the ground.
Yeah. Shout out to our friend Kara, who really harps on the whole idea of staying in your lane.
Donna, singles. Shout out to In Loop Singles. If you're looking for a singles group,
just the whole idea of staying in your lane, and here's how the practicality of what we're talking about plays out. So and especially in the context of divorce, and circling it back to divorce. So guy gets divorced, and 80+% of the time it's the woman that initiates the breakup. But either way, including the divorce, and those are hard numbers. Those are hard statistics. Those are real. Most of the time, it's not the guy that files for divorce or initiates a breakup. But at the same time, the message that we're told is that you need to go work on you. You need to go fix you. You need to do all that kind of stuff. And a lot of times the women aren't. So here's how it plays out. Probably, I'm going to say 90 out of 100 cases, at least, and I brought this up in the past recently, 90 out of 100 cases at least, your ex, ladies, the guy, ends up in a long-term relationship before you and or remarried before you. And practically speaking, maybe the reason that that's the case is because we accept the fact that there's work we got to do so that we don't go back around that mountain. Now, are those relationships always successful? I don't know. Whatever. Point being, ladies, you can probably reflect back on your ex moving on to the next long-term relationship before you, if you ever do again. And that, again, that's the practical play out of the fact that we have to accept the fact that we need to go work on us, and we change the things that we look for. We change the things that are attractive to us, especially as we get older.
And to that point, one of the things that is really interesting that happens quite a bit is you get a lot of these nice guys and guys that would make great partners for you, but they don't excite you, or they don't give you the butterflies or whatever, and you don't give them the time of day until that guy either gets with one of your girlfriends or he does something else that all of a sudden you're like, oh, he's got value. Now you're interested in him, which now you're like send this guy mixed messages. He doesn't know what to do. So it's like, why not look at these valuable men? Maybe they were too nice. I don't know. Sometimes we spend a lot of time harping on nice guys and their simping and agenda and how they will say yes to whatever you say. But there are still good men, probably in your friend zone, that you have next to. Maybe take a step back and go, hey, maybe I do deserve this nice guy. Maybe he deserves me. Maybe we can work on something together. But if you're nexting all these guys that are in your lane within your sexual marketplace value and not giving them an opportunity, and then just next to them and shooting up for the top 10%ers, and then wondering why those top 10%ers aren't looking at you as an equal and a match and sticking with you. They may smash and give you all this false hope, but they don't keep you. And the guys that would keep you would be the ones that are probably in your friend zone that have been around the whole time, waiting for you to see them and see their value.
Now, here's the other way that social experiment that I suggested a minute ago. Here's how what you just said, JBK, plays out. So you post that selfie, and within an hour, maybe within a day, you'll get comment after comment, especially if you got a bunch of filters on there. You get comment after comment saying how fantastic you are and how wonderful you are and blah, 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 blah. Some of those comments are going to be from guys. Ironically, those are the guys you would never give the time of day to in terms of dating. So that even the guys that do the same thing as your girlfriends, hyping you up, telling you how fantastic you are, those aren't the ones you want. You want the ones that are the bad boy, the ones that are the chase, and the ones that take your little work and all those kinds of things. To your point, I don't get fireworks when I'm, with this person. Like he doesn't excite me, and being feelings based has its downside, and the downside is those feelings can be manipulated. And so, a lot of, man, I want the bad boy, and I want you know, I want the guy that looks like this and does this and all these other kind of things. And it's like, man, but you keep ending up with the same result. You know, you keep ending up, you know, with the same exact outcome over and over again because you're so quick to want to get with that cool hip bad boy guy, so you can post some selfies, some ussies on your timeline saying how fantastic your life is with this person and how much you're in love with them, and you're taking this road trip and this vacation and all this other kind of stuff. And it's like, just, you know, anyhow, I'm dovetailing, but the point being that same social experiment, the guy, and here's how it plays out what we're talking about. The guys that will come on there and even simp and compliment you on that selfie. Try it if you don't believe me. The guys that will compliment you, those are the ones that, you know, not any of them will you return their comment.
Probably most likely. Probably 9 out of 10 of those. One of them she might have already friended in her friend zone and be like, oh, thank you, sweetie, just to make sure to keep them on the hook, but not actually with any real interest or thought of looking at him as a valuable person in her life, which is kind of sad. But I mean, that's the reality of the world we live in today. There's a lot of people, we're treating people as commodities. We're treating sex as the coin of the realm. There's no sacredness to sex anymore. And as we get into this third section coming up, we're going to talk about why it's so hard for you single mothers now that you've fallen into the trap. You've divorced your first husband, and now you're a single mother in your 30s or 40s, and you're wondering why you can't find a good man.
JBK wants all the smoke. He wants all the smoke. I didn't know we was going out like that, dude. I need to get some eye black under my eyes. I need to get some camouflage on my face because we about to go in the jungle, dude. We about to go in the jungle like Rambo. We about to go in the jungle like Rambo, man. We about to go Navy SEAL reconnaissance and
give you some Dolomite. Way down in the jungle,
man. Oh, it's about to get real. So
let's take that break.
I need some. I'm not even gonna call it. I'm not gonna call it what I want to call it. My drink here.
You have your man nectar or whatever it
is.
I
need to go hydrate.
Right back. Men of Masculinity on KLDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City.
Yeah, I need to hydrate on this one, man. You about to we about to go out like that.
Well, I mean, this is segment number 3, so
all the smoke.
But
that's the name of a podcast.
Okay, so if you're here on behind the scenes and wondering why we're doing this for the ladies that we talk to all the time at all the singles groups that we MC at and do events at, and all these people, because there's lots of awesome single mothers out there, but they're being told all this bad information, and they don't realize that just because they're a single mother, there's issues that come with that. And guys look at that because there's a lot more, what's the word I'm looking for? Responsibility. There's a lot more baggage. There's a lot more price and costs. I mean, there's a whole lot of aspects to that.
Yeah. We have these conversations. Mm-hmm. Matter of fact, I'll save that for when we come back. I mean, that's the why. Your boys are back.
We're back. It's time for the smoke, baby. Light the fire.
Mad Men of Masculinity, madmenradio.com. Check us out on social media, Facebook, YouTube.
Bring all that smoke over here.
All that kind of stuff.
You can find us.
You know, comment. We'll reply to your comments now. We ain't afraid to reply. We haven't met a comment yet that we haven't replied to.
Nice feedback. So, that's what we love.
Hit us up. I don't care if you agree or disagree. You can tell us we're crazy if you want. You can tell us to go kick rocks, pound sand. You can tell us to go and do. We've been told a lot of stuff.
They're about to tell us to go do a lot.
They definitely about to. But here's the deal. Here's why we do this. We have these conversations. I mean, I'm not talking about just between us. We have these conversations with women. We have these conversations with single women, with moms. We have these conversations with married friends of ours. We have these conversations. We are actively doing, legitimate, market case study research kind of thing, just in real conversations that we have over and over and over again. And the reality is, so many people get told what they want to hear, but not many people get told what they need to hear. And we need to bring these things out. We need to have these conversations. A lot of these conversations, you women know that we're right. I've had these conversations and I've said some of this stuff, a lot of this stuff. And it's like, yeah, you're right. But if these things don't get talked about, then it just becomes like hush, hush. And then why is it not working? Well, it's not working because we're not actually addressing we're not peeling off some Band-Aids and dealing with some stuff. We're not dealing with the wounds in our culture, in our society, in terms of relationships and that relationship dynamic.
Yeah, so let's just break down because we've had these conversations. We've had these real conversations with real ladies out in the world, and because these are our friends, these people we care about, we want to get this out there. So maybe you don't end up in that situation because you're listening to all the feminine, whatever the social media anthems of "you go girl, be a strong alpha babe," and you don't need no man. Well, guess what? Not having a man makes you very tired, overworked, and lonely. And we want to stop that from happening for a lot of you if you have the opportunity of if you're at that point and you're like, well, maybe I don't really like my man. He doesn't give me the butterflies, and I can take half his stuff and make more money, and I can be a boss babe and take. There's a lot of responsibility. There's a lot of work and time that goes into that, and so think about this like a man. I know this may be hard for you. Everybody demonizes us men and says we're dumb dogs that don't know nothing. Just think about a man looks at when he sees you can be the most attractive, wonderful, amazing woman with kids who's a single mother now. What a man sees when he looks at that is the extra responsibility, number one. Number two, the extra amount or the lack of amount of time you're going to have for him. And number three, probably this is actually probably number one. If we're gonna do the Johnny Carson reverse number thing again. Number one, he knows that he can never be your number one. So I've had this conversation several times. If you're a single woman, you have your kids at home most of the time, and you want to have a relationship, you may want to accept the fact that this may be a friends or lovers relationship. It may not be the boyfriend, girlfriend, going to go down the aisle relationship. Now, if he has kids or if he wants to become the stepfather, there may be something to look at, but that takes time. There's options you have. They may not be the options you like, but there are options you have to have adult time and have adult relationships. They just may not look the way you're used to them looking. So look at what a man sees. He may say like, she's the most gorgeous, amazing woman, but she's got 3 kids, and I don't, the baby daddy's in the picture, so I'm going to be 5th on the totem pole, if that, maybe 6th or 7th, because of the rest of the family. These are things men think about, and because as soon as a man takes over another man's children to raise them, he is a cuckold. Most men don't want to be that.
Yeah, and we also have a lot of these conversations with men, and we also hear a lot of the same stories over and over from men. I've had conversations with several men who've been through divorce, and several of us, because I've experienced it too, several of us have gone through having one side of the narrative told to our kids in terms of what the story was. And so we ended up being the bad guy, and the only value that we have to our ex and or our kids / our kids is a check, is a money, is a resource grab. And that's what it feels like. I mean, where, okay, you don't like me, but somehow I ain't never got one of them checks returned, even when I, do above and beyond, even when I try, even when I initiate. And so a lot of us have been scorned and abused by scorned women. I mean, and a lot of our kids have been abused by a scorned mom, and I use the word abuse because when I took that class, that's what the lady that taught the class told all the women that were in the room. When you talk bad about your kid's father, that is abuse. And so I'm using that word strongly and specifically. And so a lot of us have experienced these kinds of things with kids and with exes and all these other kind of things. So when we come into this picture here, we look at that entire landscape and say, okay, so what is me getting involved here going to look like at some point down the road? Am I going to get involved here? Am I going to put my hands in this clay and, try to help mold this clay? Or am I just here to be a spectator or all these other kind of things? And some of that is just not really, I don't want to say it's not attractive, but it factors into the whole thing. It's part of the entire landscape. It's part of the entire field that he's looking at, and he's making all these decisions. And let's be honest, ladies, you ain't in your 20s no more. And if you are in your late 40s, early 50s or whatever, you're competing with your 20-something-year-old daughter for the same man.
And that's sad, but it's true. And one of the things that we wanted to do this episode about is because there's a lot of, so many of our friends are amazing single mothers, and they're sad and upset because they're not finding good quality men to stick with them. They can find guys to date, they can find guys to sleep with, they can't find guys to stick around. And part of that is because they're expecting to have the same relationship they had before when they were single without kids. They're expecting to have that same relationship. That's not how it works anymore. You now have priorities above and beyond your relationship with another man. You have priorities above and beyond anything else. It's your children, and we know that. In a lot of cases, if this guy is in the same age bracket, he's probably already been divorced and has his own kids as well, and so he's looking at all those things as well. So unfortunately, there is not a lot of guys willing to dive right back into that when it comes to single mothers because of the heartache he's experienced. I mean, I've had the experience of most of my girlfriends in the past 20 years have been single mothers. And when it doesn't work out and you have to deal with the heartbreak, not only of your heartbreak, but of the child and of the mother, I mean, all these other factors, they factor in, and it just makes it that much more complicated, convoluted. So it's not just as simple as, well, I'm a valuable woman. Just because I have kids doesn't mean I shouldn't find what I want. Well, you have to factor all those things in because it's not as simple as it used to be. We're not all single 20-somethings anymore with no marks on the bedpost. Like we got a resume.
And to understand that again, him coming into the picture, especially, odds are he's been through it too, but him coming into the picture, what he sees is, I'm never going to be a priority here, but I'm expected to make you a priority in my life. I'm expected to put you before a lot of things in my life. I'm expected to make time. I'm expected to be, I'm expected to be here first. I'm expected to be on the other. I'm expected to be and let's be honest. Yes, you do expect those kind of things. You don't want to be second to anything in his life. And which is why I push back to guys and I say, man, you better be careful what you make first in your life. And I think your purpose should be first, even before the woman in your life. And if it's a good woman, then she will come alongside you in your purpose and support you and encourage you in your purpose. Because that's bigger than her. It's bigger than both of you. But anyhow, fact is, when he comes into that scenario, he's looking at you like, I know I'm not going to be first, but I know that I'm expected to make you first.
Yeah, you're expecting that guy to come in when he already knows there's no chance that he's ever going to come before your kids, and he has to deal with the ex, and he has to deal with all those other things. And he also knows, because of what we're told, what we're taught, what we see on social media and in the news, that we are supposed to put you on the pedestal, make you our number one and everything. Well, we know that doesn't work because we've all tried that in the past. You put a woman on a pedestal, she has no respect for you. And so there is no reciprocation for that. And it also looks like it's like a zero-sum game. There's no outcome that's beneficial either way. So he is not going to be your priority, but you want him to make you his priority. He's not going to have any authority when it comes to your kids or the family, but you wanted him to take 100% of the responsibility. The math doesn't add up, and that's why we're like, okay, we want you to understand these things as single mothers because this is what guys see. And so if you want to have that kind of relationship that you had before with a man as a single mother, you need to understand what he's going through and either allay those fears or come up with some plan to work with him that lets him know that you do respect him, you do love him, and you do want to work it out, but you know that there are these other aspects that have to be put into consideration.
And the context of all this is divorce. So we're talking to people that are at least probably in their late 30s, 40s, early 50s, whatever you call it, at least, right? And so the context of all this is we're both bringing some stuff in from the past, and if he's coming into your scenarios, again, especially when you have kids, you got to understand, he might be bringing stuff in from his past. He's probably coming into the same similar things, but that are in the present. And yeah, to your point, JBK, all that stuff gets factored in, and you got to understand that. And not every guy will be upfront and tell you this stuff either. I mean, this is where a guy will just ghost you after a while. Once he starts to do the math and once he starts to see how this thing is adding up, then all of a sudden, he'll ghost. All of a sudden, he's out. And all of a sudden he ain't interested because he's kind of seeing this dynamic. He's seeing, wait a minute, I've been put on the back burner multiple times, or I've been told or communicated or whatever. And not hating on your kids being number one. But you got to understand that while you have kids, especially if you got young kids, man, but while you have kids in the house, while you have kids in the scenario, if you're not empty nester, and I mean, you got to understand that divorce guy coming into that scenario is looking at the entire playing field. And again, you ain't 20-something years old. Your body parts ain't where they were when they were 20-something years old. You might have been the cute girl back then that you was, shrugging off guys like the Heisman Trophy. But guess what? There's some miles on the car right now, right? And probably some dents and some things. And I don't care if you had the mommy makeover and all that kind of stuff. Either way, these are all these things that are factored in for the guy that's coming in who probably has a past and may very well have a divorce in his past.
Well, let's go ahead, since we already kind of talked about you're not as young as you used to be anymore. I know we're gonna have some of those that go, well, I've never been married. I'm a single mother, but I never married any of my baby daddies. Well, you still fall into the same category, and sometimes you may even be worse because now you've had kids out of wedlock, you even get married, and all those different things. So these are things to take into consideration, because I keep seeing a lot of these younger ladies who are single mothers, and they've had kids out of wedlock, and then they assume they still have the fantasy fairy tale of, I'm going to have the big white wedding and I'm going to have my special day and all those different things, and I'm going to find my Prince Charming. Probably not. If you would ask yourself this question, if you had a child, you had a son, and he had the choice between a single mother with 3 kids or a woman with no kids, who would you tell him to go with? I mean, this is not a personal attack. It's not anything saying about your intrinsic value, but we're talking about buying a used car with 100,000 miles or a new car. I mean, which would you choose? So these are the things that why we're doing this episode. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, but it's the truth. And speaking of the truth,
You can't handle the truth. I want the truth.
So since you can't handle the truth, we're going to take a break. Give you a break from handling all this truthness. KLDC, Mile High City, 12:20 a.m. This is the Mad Men Masculinity. We're taking a break.
Be back. Ooh, we gotta come in hot today, man.
Smoking.
We want all the smoke, man. We coming in hot today. Where
what I've noticed is it's always on delay. We're going to get it tomorrow. We're going to be trying to have this kind of conversation tomorrow.
No, what will happen is somebody will listen to one part of this. They'll listen to one part of this, and then next thing you know, they'll comment everything was about that one little sentence that they heard. They listen to the whole thing completely out of context. And all of a sudden, that's the stuff we get, the big long, here's what y'all need to do. Yeah. You want me to make your show better?
That's why I said we weren't going to accept any comments today, because I knew they were going to listen to one little part, just slink in, and then be like completely out of context. Go, oh my God, you guys are crazy. You're misogynist. You're blah blah. You don't even know what we're talking about.
Yeah. Here's what you should do. If you want to make your show better, you should say this. I can't believe you said that. You guys are just You guys. And that's how they all sound. In my head, that's how they all sound.
What I hear is
from nobody with a successful relationship.
We didn't even talk about that yet.
Yeah.
Are we ready to come back? And we're back. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC, 12:20 a.m. in the Mile High City. We are talking to the ladies.
Guess who's back? Back
the bad boys.
KRMM is Mad Men, not Eminem.
Oh, is it KRMM?
Eminem.
Okay.
Mad Men.
Mad Men.
Yeah. We're talking we're talking for the men today, to the ladies, in the context of divorce. Some stuff that you probably don't hear quite often. You should hear. You need to hear.
You need to listen.
But what you don't hear in your timeline, what you don't hear in your algorithm. And I'm serious. I know y'all ain't doing it because you got attitude right now, but take a selfie and post it and see what happens. And you're going to see exactly what I'm talking about. You're going to see all your girlfriends telling you how fabulous you are and how amazing you are, and how, girl, you are perfect the way you are. You're a queen. You're a boss, babe. Oh, look at you, girl. And then, you'll eat all that up. You'll get all the likes and loves and all that. And then you'll get the guys that, and go ahead, do one with a filter. Put one of them. I don't know where you get them filters from, but some of them are good too, man.
I know. We saw that one you were showing me earlier.
Yeah, I was like,
she was
smooth, like
smooth. She was smooth like a
I don't know how you 40, 50 years old, you got now a single wrinkle on your forehead. I know how it happens, I mean, you get, I need 48 units right here in my forehead.
Botox, filters.
I need,
duct tape.
Anyhow, duct tape.
Super glue, varnish.
Some WD-40.
Got shellac on there.
That's going to be the new thing now. Girl, I got my hands on some of that WD-40, girl. Some of that Gorilla Glue.
I don't squeak no more.
I got some of my hands on some of that Gorilla. You heard of that new Gorilla Glue treatment? girl. Ooh, that's the good stuff right there, girl. Ooh,
Yeah,
get that right at Home Depot.
I keep it popping all
You
night
don't,
long.
you don't need to go to the spa. I mean, because you perfect, girl. No. Reality, ladies, guess what? You look in the mirror, you say, okay, what is it about this thing? I know a lot of great, good men who are single. They've maybe been through divorce, some have not. Some married, no kids, I ain't saying no names. Good men, and I hear all y'all out there screaming about ain't no good men. And I'm like, I know a dozen of them off the top of my head, but somehow I can find them and you can't. I wonder why that is. And the reality is, because y'all ain't, there's a whole lot of realities, and a lot of it has to do with some of these conversations that are happening.
Well, and that brings up a good point too, because we all do it, especially when we're lonely and sad. There's a lot of love bombing and things that go along, and there's a lot of the guys that we know or that we're in circles with that are doing the work and know their mistakes. They're working on themselves, and of course we've had these discussions with the guys about you need to fix your picker too and stop being Captain Save, and going for the broken ladies and trying to save the world and everything. Same thing goes with you ladies. When you meet a guy, especially if he's a good guy, his guard's going to be up, his armor's probably going to be up, so you need to slow down and take your time and let him know that you're willing to work, even and let him know that that you have kids and you have priorities and you have all these things, and don't expect him to treat you like the fairy tale princess on her wedding night, all these different things. And you say, look, I know I have priorities. I know you're not going to be my number one priority. I'm willing to work with that if you're willing to work with that, and we can come together and create some kind of relationship that works for both of us, where we can both take care of our business. We can still come together and enjoy our adult time and each other's company. But when you come in with this over the top bombing, like, oh my God, you're amazing, you're scaring them off. So take your time, especially nowadays. Everybody's gun shy and Tinder, and all their nerves are on edge. So take your time. Sometimes you come in a little hot. I'm just gonna let you know, ladies, you come in a little hot, and it scares them off.
I think what you said, man, was huge in terms of acknowledge some of that stuff. Acknowledge, like, hey, I know that I haven't had a whole lot of time lately, or I know that this can happen. I know my kids I know my schedule can be. I know this and I know that, and at the same time, I still want to make us a priority. I still want to make this right. My dating and relationship life is a priority. If it is, if it ain't, then don't date. Like, if you don't have time, don't do it. If you don't have the capacity, then don't ask for that smoke. Because you are absolutely going to want his smoke. You're going to want that time. You're going to want all that kind of stuff. So if you don't have it to give, don't put yourself out there to receive, because the only way you can be a good giver is to be a good receiver, right? And so, but to be able to talk about these things, to be able to put it out there, and like, I can acknowledge this stuff, and I know, and then to have your expectations in the right place, because I got a lot of y'all, the best man for you is in your past. You had a good man and you let him go. You had a good man, and for some reason he didn't like he wanted him to, or he didn't give you those sparks and the big whatever, but he was there. He was there, and now you crying because you can't get a man to be there. But you had a man who was there, and when he was there, he wasn't the bad boy enough. He didn't rock it like he should have. He didn't get up. He didn't whatever all the stuff he didn't do. And then you thought that there'd be another man right behind him that would be there plus some. And the reality is, it don't work that way.
No, and one of the things that is so prevalent nowadays, and I touched on it earlier, is the lack of sacredness of marriage, the lack of sacredness of sex. And we're just giving these things away and using each other as commodities, and then wondering why nobody is taking us seriously or looking at us as a person of value. Well, we're giving our value away. We're not holding it in. We're not even valuing ourselves enough. And then going, well, I can't find anybody who takes me seriously or who values me. Are you taking yourself seriously enough to do your work and to put yourself as a priority for a while? A lot of times it takes 3 to 6 months. If you putting yourself first as a priority, stop, get out of the dating world and stop chasing around the
streets. Get out the streets.
Make it, make your diet a priority, make going to the gym a priority, make your money a priority. And then all of a sudden, now that you made yourself a priority and you've started to build respect within yourself and your own self-respect and your own self-esteem, Now you're attracting in people who are of a higher caliber, higher sexual marketplace value, whatever. And then you might have an opportunity to create a relationship like the one you want, but a relationship based on your own self-awareness, which is one of the things we see a lot of lacking nowadays. Is there seems to be a lack of self-awareness a lot of times from the lady side, and I know a lot of times from the guy side, we see a lot from the guy side. They're just like deer in the headlights half the time. Like, I don't know what's going on. They don't like me. Nothing. I don't know what's happening. But being self-aware, being self-reflective, and also being honest about all of your stuff with whoever it is you want to get in the next relationship with. You can find something that works, but it's not going to be the old fairy tale thing that you're being sold.
I can hear the woman out there saying, "But I'm doing everything right. I got my this, and I'm
How's that
doing
working for you?
everything, and everywhere I go, I just can't. My profile is this, and I go to this group, this singles group, and I go to this thing, and I just can't. I'm doing all the things you say, and that's how they sound in my head anyway. The reality is, though, the reality is, quite honestly, if you're having a hard, I'm serious. If you're having a hard time finding a guy, you ain't doing something you should be doing in terms of looking in the right places, doing the right things, or who you're looking for. And if that's the case, you need to holler at one of us, and maybe you need some tech support. When your computer's acting up, you don't go to your cousin Chet, who changes tires for a living, unless he just happens to be some super nerd. You go to desktop support. Maybe you need to go to some man desktop support, some Men of Masculinity, man desktop support.
Geniuses.
We your geek squad, and because I can almost guarantee, again, you're probably not looking for the right guy that you should be looking for, and where to look for that guy. You'd be shocked what would happen if you go take a golf lesson and go out there by yourself and go join a foursome of golf and get out there. There's plenty of guys. That's just one private example. No, I don't want to. Okay, well then fine. Just do what you do, you boo boo. But everybody can do you boo boo. Don't change. Don't do nothing. But then stop complaining. Stop whining because you can't find a man.
Yeah. I actually saw a meme not too long ago that just cracked me up because it was this girl going, "Universe, genie, whatever. God, I want this type of man, and he makes this much, and he looks like this, and he does that, and does this." And then the genie goes, "Well, all right. Well, what are you bringing to the table for him? What are you offering?" "Oh, no. It's not about me. No. You bring all that stuff to me, and then I'll accept it." It's like, that's not how it works. Life is built on energy and resonance and frequency, and a lot of you are going way above your frequency band, trying to you're looking for something outside of your even general area of frequency and synchronicity and whatever. So know who you are, and we talked about it in the book. Look in the mirror, know who you are, know where you're at, know your sexual marketplace value, accept those things, because there's nothing wrong with that. You don't have to follow along with the Joneses and the Kardashians and be this crazy 6-figure millionaire 10 and all this stuff. Most of the guys don't want that. I'll be honest with you. Most guys, average is average for a reason. And guess what? Average is the biggest per capita number. Like, that's where, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's where most of the people are that you want. And most of the ones that are within your demographic, within your lane, maybe find somebody within there. Because I guarantee you, it's not settling if you find somebody in your lane. It's not settling if you find somebody at your same level. And you'll have more in common. You'll also be more secure. You'll feel more safe. And you probably have a longer lasting, more cohesive relationship.
Because what the world is also selling is a bill of goods in terms of, speaking to ladies, selling a bill of goods in terms of what men are looking for and what men find attractive or valuable. And that bill of goods is going to have you lonely, broke, busted, and disgusted in terms of your singleness, your whatever, especially, and again, all this back to the context of divorce and, the dating, all that market value stuff. And if you have a problem with the term sexual market value, you call it the DMV, the dating market value, whatever. I'm from the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia. But the point is, all that bill of goods and what all the hyper feminism of the world is trying to shove down your throats in terms of what you need to be as a woman, especially to get a good man and all that kind of stuff. No, boo-boo. No. They don't want that kind of stuff.
One of the biggest lies you've been told, and I don't know where this came from or why ladies think this is true, because it doesn't make any sense at all, but what ladies are looking for in a man, they think men are looking for in women.
Boom.
And it is so not true.
Drop the mic.
I don't care how much you make. It's nice if you make more than us. That's fine.
Preach.
I don't care how much you make. What we care about is if you're cooperative,
Well,
friendly, and on our team. You're not trying to run our lives. You're
pass the
actually
offer plate.
preach it. So
I'm
what you
telling you.
value in a man
Yeah.
is not what a man values in you. That's why you see some of these guys who are driving Ferraris and pick up the girl at the Starbucks and take her on out to Cabo or whatever, because he doesn't care about how much money she makes.
If he's 40 something years old or older, if you can't bring him peace, he don't want nothing to do with you. If you can't bring him peace,
Lord, give me peace.
if you can't bring him peace to his relationship being the part of it, if you can't, like, he don't want nothing to do with you. He got a bunch of, especially if a guy has been divorced, he's been down that road, he's been at a puppet show, he's seen the strings. No. Jerry Maguire is fiction. Jerry Maguire is fake.
Yeah, he cut those strings and set them on fire. He don't want no more strings.
No.
And speaking of ladies, if you're middle-aged or you're a single mother and you're still into the drama and you like all that, you ain't gonna find no man who wants that drama, because any man who has his own money, who's in midlife, he wants peace.
He'll smash.
Oh yeah.
And then dash.
Cray, he's definitely gonna jump in.
But he'll dash. I mean, that's Teflon right there. That's Teflon right there. That's microwave. That ain't crock pot. I'm telling you, and so you better make sure, that microwave heat don't last long. That crock pot heat will get you through a winter evening. You know what I'm saying? And so, there's a whole different type of smoke. But all these kinds of things are the bill of goods that are sold to women in terms of that middle, I'm going to say the middle years of life, whatever you want to call it, even if it's a post-divorce, scenario, or at least that age range or whatever, all these bill of goods that y'all being sold, ladies, I'm telling you, that's the reason why you're single and you don't want to be.
It's not helping you at all, and it's not creating any accountability or any self-awareness. And so we see them all, and we keep hearing the same thing of, I'm a great woman. I'm an alpha boss, babe. I take care of my kids. I work. I own my house. Why can't I find a good man? Well, he sees there's nothing there for him to do, and he doesn't value the same things you value. And when it comes to men, so he's like, well, I don't see any beneficial outcome for me to jump into that, because I'm not going to be a priority. I'm going to have 100% responsibility and no authority. So we're just saying, be aware of those things. Be aware of what men are looking at, and take a little self-accountability and be able to go, hey, I understand that I'm not the free, clear 20-something with no kids, no baggage. I got kids, I got baggage, but we can still work something out.
Or you can't find a good man because you can't see a good man, because you can't recognize a good man.
You're picking it, bro.
Because you can't recognize a good man. When a good man sits down across the table from you, you projecting on him all of the baggage, all of the junk in your trunk, the baggage that has become luggage. You projecting on this guy, and you either say, "Nah, he doesn't make me feel tingly," or he's a nice guy, or whatever, or he's gonna leave, or whatever baggage you got that's become luggage, you'll project that on him. So it may very well be there aren't quote unquote good men out here because you can't recognize a good man when you see one.
Yeah, that's true. And I think on that note, we're gonna call it a night,
Ooh,
ladies and gentlemen.
I want the smoke.
Well, we'll be back next week.
I want the truth.
Lots more smoke.
You can't handle the truth.
That's right. Mad Men of Masculinity, KLDC, 1220 AM in the Mile High City, on the interwebs everywhere. Bring us the smoke. We love y'all. We'll see you next time.
Mad Men out.